And now, it's Boomer Life, lifestyle discussion designed to make your life more engaging, meaningful, and complete. Celebrating the baby boomer generation, this is Boomer Life on CIL 650.
Well, hello and welcome to Boomer Life here on CIL 650. On the program today, we're celebrating the lifestyle of retirement living with our guests from Revera Retirement Living. Always a pleasure to welcome Lydia Miller to Boomer Life.
Hi, Sterling.
Hi, Lydia is the Regional Sales Director for all of British Columbia for Revera. And Lydia is joined in studio today from, White Cliff in White Rock, one of Revera's, communities here in BC. And Kelly Besseling is with us from White Cliff. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for having us.
Well, it's great to have you along with us. And let's talk about your story. Kelly is a very young person. And Lydia, this goes back to one of your many visits with us here on Boomer Life. And I recall, many months ago, you were talking about you at Revera were looking province-wide and that the expanding interest in retirement living, not only here in BC, but right across Canada,
right.
and making moves to accommodate that expanded interest. You were looking for lifestyle consultants to come and work with you at Revera communities across the province. Kelly is one of those new lifestyle consultants.
Yes, she is, and she's doing an amazing, amazing job in helping people relocate and find that next home.
Right. And Kelly, you're a relatively speaking young woman. This is Boomer Life, and you are certainly not a baby boomer. So, first of all, welcome to the program, and tell us how a young person came to be as engaged in the seniors business as you have.
Oh, thanks. I've been working with seniors now for 4 years, and it was a natural fit for me because of my grandparents that I grew up very close with. So my grandmother actually had Alzheimer's, and my grandpa was the caretaker for her. And watching them grow together and the needs and struggles that they went through was something that was very real in our family.
Sure. So, and then did you also have other family members who were other family members? I know you told me just before we started, was one of them in a retirement community?
Yes, my aunt was also in a care facility in Alberta. So we would spend my whole life growing up, whenever I'd see her, she was in a care community there.
Oh, so for a young person, going into a seniors community was no big deal because
No.
you've been doing it your whole life.
Yeah, I could find my way around the kitchen, making ice creams for everyone that lived there, and wheeling the wheelchairs around. I was totally at home there, and it was normal for me.
Right. Now, when did you decide, at what point in your planning and career preparation stuff, when did you decide that, this seniors thing, I could make a career out of working with seniors?
When I was in college studying marketing and sales, I actually spent a lot of time reflecting on what did I want to do with the skills I was learning in marketing and sales, and I wanted to have integrity. That was really important to me, and working at Revera, I can work with integrity in doing marketing and sales, which is what I studied. It was a natural fit.
Well, perfect.
It's something I totally believe in.
One of our 4 pillars.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And before we get to the 4 pillars, we had a mention from Kelly of her experience growing up with her grandparents, one of whom had Alzheimer's. That was your grandmother,
yes.
right? And so your granddad was the caregiver.
Yes.
And as they aged together, I'm sure it became considerably more difficult for your grandfather to keep up and provide the level of care required. So he must have been an extraordinary guy.
He was, and he was very proud, and yeah, it was interesting to see his role sort of switch, because my grandma ran the household, right?
Right.
They were on a farm in Alberta,
So it became a complete case of role reversal.
Exactly.
Out of necessity.
Yes.
Now, Lydia, Alzheimer's, and we've talked about this in previous episodes of Boomer Life.
Yep.
Alzheimer's and Revera Retirement Living Canada-wide in the month of September connect. Tell us how.
Actually, throughout the year, the Alzheimer's Society of Canada is our national charity of choice that we've chosen to support, where if we are doing any sort of community fundraising, we will reach out to the local Alzheimer's office first. But during the month of September, in particular this week, all 95 buildings of retirement for Revera will be hosting a major fundraising event, exercise, challenge, whether it be climbing the grind up at Grouse, or a huge bake sale, or car wash, or gift basket, raffle. everybody will be doing something to raise funds.
And Kelly, what's happening at White Cliff specifically this week with regards to fundraising for Alzheimer's? You look like a very fit young woman who could probably whistle up the grouse grind in about an hour. Is that on your agenda? And how many seniors are you taking with you?
I think we're going to stick with the bake sale.
Oh, probably a better idea. So that's the deal. That's at White Cliff. It's going to be a big bake sale.
Yes. And it's nice because all the staff are going to be doing all the baking and bringing it in, and the residents can guess to see who's made what, and then, of course, do donations.
Okay. Lydia, tell us about some of the other fundraising activities or exploits. Sure. And first of all, how many Revera communities are there here in BC? You said 95 across Canada. How many in British Columbia?
Yep. And actually, of those 95, 10 are in Oregon.
Oh,
It's just a little clump of them. But we have 9 buildings, wonderful private communities in BC itself.
Okay.
3 in Victoria, called Parkwood Place, Parkwood Court, and the Kensington. And then we have, of course, everywhere spread out from Kelly at White Cliff in South Surrey, White Rock, to Hollyburn House in West Vancouver.
Okay.
And if you're interested in the Okanagan because you want to retire up where it's warm and play golf all year round,
that's right.
We got the Dorchester.
Oh, really? And that's in Kelowna, right?
It is.
And by the way, friends, ReveraLiving.com is the website for this organization. And if you want to have a look at any of their communities, whether it's here in BC or across the country, that's the website. Just go to ReveraLiving.com and then click on, in this case with Kelly's community, it's White Cliff right here in the Lower Mainland in White Rock.
And if any of you have seen our TV commercials, this is the only plug I'm going to do. We have a new set of commercials that started last month.
Okay, and
so
they're on the website too, right?
Yeah, and they're hitting the coast as we speak.
And what are the last of the TV commercials that I recall for Revera, basically it was extolling the virtues of community living for seniors in the most positive way, basically pointing out so much opportunity for good times.
Yes, and trying to dispel some of those myths. You know, it's like they're going to lock me up and throw away the key. I won't be able to enjoy myself. I'll never host another dinner party.
Right.
Which is so untrue.
Right.
So untrue. And we actually tapped into the actual activities and got quotes from some of our residents that said, hey, I'm loving this. Why didn't I make this decision sooner? You know? And so the next series is actually about choice and giving seniors and their boomer children options and choice. And we'll be able to talk more about a wonderful new care program that we've developed, which is exclusive to Revera.
Okay. All right. Now, as you also mentioned a few moments ago, the 4 pillars. They never change. They've been constant since the first community back many years ago. So
over 50, yeah.
Yeah, talk to us about the 4 pillars that each Revera community is committed to.
Well, it's a wonderful little acronym that you can remember, and it's called RICE. Starts out with respect, to respect everyone. Integrity, as Kelly alluded to, you know, it's like...
That's her big one.
Yeah.
And that's a good choice, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's doing the right thing, you know, and knowing you're doing the right thing, and you feel good about it. Even if it's the choice of not moving into a Revera community, you're still have that integrity and that moral standing there. The compassion, because of what we do, it's very emotional. It's not easy by any stretch of the imagination to talk to someone about their life and how it's changed and it's no longer what they remember it to be, you know, and we want to help bring that back and do it with understanding. And then excellence, just doing an awesome job all the time, you know, just bringing out the best in everyone.
Okay. When you sit down with people, when they come down to White Cliff, Kelly, and they call you up and they say, well, it's time to have that conversation with mom or dad, but we really need to come and see you first. So when we get to that conversation, we have some really good material. We're well prepared. So when we boomers, on behalf of our senior parents, come to visit you in your office at White Cliff, what typically are the sorts of questions we want? What do we want to know most when we do our homework before that conversation?
They often would like a little bit of support, I think, on their end, that they're dealing with their parents needing the extra care. So first of all, they're in a frustration because their parents might be living unsafely in their house.
Oh, yeah.
So we're worried about their safety initially, usually when the children come in to look. I'm thrilled when the children come in ahead of time, and we consider that to be sort of they're getting educated on the industry. And we can have a really good straight-up conversation about where their parents at right now and what are their hopes and desires for their parents, and does Revera sort of fit that where they need to be.
And we have to also clarify some of the terminology and definitions here, Sterling.
Oh, you bet.
Right? Because at White Cliff, we do offer a continuum of a care, and some people will say, oh, it's a care facility, and I just need assisted living.
Right.
And then you ask them to tell you what assisted living means to them, and they say, well, Mom needs help with her medications. You know, she forgets.
Yeah.
She can't cook anymore. She's not eating well. She doesn't shop. We look after all that. And, you know, the bathroom's a bit of a mess. And so depending on exactly what their interpretation is, we have to set the record straight and have that open conversation as well. So the more forthcoming people are with us with information on the situation at home and with what mom or dad are going through, you know, whether it's healthcare, whether it's bathing, whether it's meds, et cetera, then we can just determine what level of services and care they need.
All right, and it is confusing for those of us boomers who are really trying to do the right thing, Kelly, and, you know, and make sure that mom gets squared away in a safe, comfortable, welcoming environment. But there is terminology and jargon within the business of seniors communities that if we've never been exposed to it before, we need to learn. Now, at White Cliff, for example, how many levels of care are provided, and does it always begin with independent living?
It doesn't have to begin with independent living. It depends where the person's needs are when they come into our community.
Okay.
Here at White Cliff, we have 3 levels of care. Independent living would be sort of your meals, lunch and dinner, housekeeping, bus trips, all the fun activities, and it's really based on somebody that's still traveling and really enjoying their retirement years.
Okay.
We have a great time there. Our calendar is full of activities such as Zumba, you know, Latin fitness, going to Stanley Park for the day, Nordic pole walking. So it's
happy hour.
Happy hour. We're just looking to enhance your life because it, you know, that's something that happens as you're aging. You might be in solitude in your house. So this is about getting your friends back and getting socializing. The second level of care would be assisted living.
That's what Lydia was talking about earlier. Okay, so from independent living, we move to assisted living. And what's the difference? What do you get if you commit to that level of care?
Assisted living would mean you're staying in your independent living house, but now they're actually just coming to you and providing support while you're staying in your independent living suite. So that could look like getting your bathing done. That could be bringing your medications to you a couple times a day.
Okay.
So just a light type of care.
Yep, or it could be just evening prep for bedtime.
Sure.
Because you can't either pull on or pull off the stockies.
Sure.
You know, those elastic thingies that are really difficult. I don't know how anybody manages those.
Okay, so that would be a little bit of assistance required, perhaps on the forgetting of the meds and some physical issues that are becoming more difficult. So that's assisted living. So what's the third level then, Kelly?
The great thing about White Cliff is that we have a care facility attached to our building. So you can just move into our care unit where you can have 24-hour nursing care. So that would be able to look after all your needs. And we have Live Well here at White Cliff that Lydia will be mentioning later on in this program.
Okay, so is the third level, is it called, I'm trying to get these industry terms straight here, is that extended care or long-term care? What do they call it?
Complex care.
Oh, okay.
Right, so it can be as simple as somebody being with you, you know, morning, noon, and night, but not in between because you're fine on your own. But if you need someone, there will be someone there. You just pull the call bell for the nurse's station and someone will be there.
Okay.
So instead of, say, in independent side having the receptionist or admin person stop by or call you, on the complex care side, it'll be a nurse attending to your needs.
Right, because you're a little more fragile and need a little bit more attention.
Yeah, and you never know what it may be, and they're the medical professional and the health professional. So we have LPNs, we have RNs, and you don't have to worry about someone not being there that's qualified to assist.
Kelly, you said you were, when we had a coffee before we started the program tonight, you said that one of the things you try to impress upon people who come to see you at White Cliff is the long-term view.
Exactly.
So, and now that we can understand the different levels of care, Whitecliff has that appeal, because if you're hale and hearty and just fine and looking for a new environment full of friends and good food and good times, well, off you go to independent living. But as your needs change down the road, you don't have to change your postal code. You may have to move rooms even, but that'd be about it. So again, it's that long horizon, long-term planning that you're trying to impress upon people who come to visit you, right?
Exactly, and we often say we hope for the best and plan for the worst, right? It's just nice to know that it's around the corner if you need it, and perhaps you might not need care.
I think that might be one of the reasons that Kelly chose to come with us at Revera at Whitecliff as well, is that ability for when she's dealing and working with seniors and their families, that she can help them make the decision once to move, and then they don't have to move again. They can age. I know it sounds like a term that we've used or overused, age in place.
Right.
But it is a continuum of care. So when you come in, you're fully independent, you're fully mobile, you can do what you want, when you want, come and go, entertain guests and family, and then leave, the cleaning up for everybody else to do. But then as you do need more care, you don't have to move. You don't get kicked out of one community to have to do the search all over again and go through all that heartache, all that, exploration and research that causes a lot of angst for a lot of families.
And a lot of that came about simply because of Kelly's point. People, you're looking at the short-term objective, which is to get mom or dad into a seniors community. And for many of us boomers, that's climbing Mount Everest all by itself.
Correct.
So, but still, you're saying, look just beyond the short term and just have that long horizon. So again, it's about convenience as people age and reducing the need for dramatic changes.
Can you imagine if you had to move again, let alone have to move your mother at the age of 85 or 90?
Right.
Yeah.
So how that looks at Whitecliff is that we've got residents that have lived there for like 14 years.
Oh, okay.
And they may have moved in young with their husband, traveling, and now, they've just progressed, and they're still living at Whitecliff, and their needs have changed, but they're still there, and they are thriving.
Because their circle of friends is constant, and the staff, they have this, it's home.
Yeah.
Basically,
they're so proud of their community.
And that wonderful story of that couple, you remember? They married other people when they were much younger, and then they kind of grew apart. They kept in distant, communication.
Right.
But then as each one of them lost their spouse and others went to a different facility, shall we say, they found each other at Whitecliff again.
Really?
Yeah. And they're engaged.
No way.
Yes.
After how many years? Because they were childhood sweethearts, right?
Well,
and then life took them off in different directions, and what? Many, many decades later, it happens all over again.
50 some odd years.
How
later.
cool is that?
It's very cool.
That's a great story.
Yeah, it is.
And the first of many, because when we come back, Sandy's going to join us. Her mom lives at Whitecliff, and we'll find out how that went from the perspective of us boomers, who are, many of us, still, challenged by the task of taking better care of moms and dads. We're talking with the folks from Revera Retirement Living here on Boomer Life on CIL 650, with lots more still ahead. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Celebrating the baby boomer lifestyle. This is Boomer Life on CIL 650.